For years, the first thing I felt upon waking wasn't gratitude. It was pain. Before I even fully opened my eyes, I already knew what was coming. That nagging stab in my lower back, as if something inside me were cramped, locked, rusted. Some mornings the pain was mild. Other times it wouldn't even let me straighten up well enough to get out of bed. There were days when I felt as if my body weighed twice as much and moving was a battle. I don't know exactly when it started. Maybe it was after 70, or maybe much earlier, but I got used to living with that discomfort, as if it were part of me. They told me it was normal, that with age, everything hurts a little. I tried everything. Painkillers that made me drowsy but solved nothing. Strong-smelling creams that only soothed for a while. Belts that squeezed my mood more than my waist. Even doctors who, after examining me, only said, "It's age." But one day, tired of relying on pills and resignation, I discovered something so simple it sounded ridiculous. A small change, 2 minutes in the morning, and one ingredient you probably already have at home. I didn't find it at a pharmacy, nor in a prescription, nor in an expensive treatment. I stumbled upon it by chance, and it was the beginning of the end of that morning pain that was stealing my energy. No, it wasn't a miracle, but it was real. And best of all, you can do it too. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, or 80 years old. If your back hurts when you wake up, this can change your mornings. Do you also suffer from back pain in the mornings? Tell me how old you are and where you're watching me from. I'd love to know if this message reaches you in time, because maybe, as happened to me, this can help you too. Why does our back hurt when we wake up? One of the questions I asked myself most often in recent years was, why does my back hurt right when I wake up, when my body is supposed to have rested? And the answer, although not always simple, has a logical explanation that's more common than we imagine. To begin with, during the night we spend many hours in the same position. When the body doesn't move, it accumulates muscular tension. If, on top of that, we sleep hunched over, with our legs poorly placed, or without proper mattress support, the result is a back that wakes up tight, tense, and stiff. But there's more. With time, our spine also changes. The vertebrae wear down, the discs between them become thinner, and the muscles lose firmness. If we add to that the fact that many older people don't hydrate well overnight, dehydration also affects the elasticity of the joints, causing inflammation and rigidity. It's as if the body slowly dries out while we sleep, and upon waking, every part that supports us needs to reactivate, but struggles to do so. I remember a doctor once explained it to me with an image I never forgot. He told me, "A young back is like a new sponge, flexible, soft, always ready, but an aging back, without care, is more like an old, dry sponge. If you bend it abruptly, it cracks." And he was right. Overnight, our sponge dries out. By not moving, not drinking water, not activating the muscles, everything hardens. Then, when we try to get up suddenly, that rigid system punishes us with pain. There's another important detail too. Many people, especially after 60, start moving less during the day. And that shows even more during nighttime rest. A body that isn't used often becomes clumsy, even for sleeping. Postures become more uncomfortable, the muscles don't relax the same way, and every nighttime movement can turn into a tiny injury. And of course, the mattress also plays its part. There are people who have slept on the same one for more than 20 years. What used to be soft and firm may now be sagging, deformed, and that directly affects spinal alignment. So when we add up all these factors, muscle tension, lack of movement, dehydration, the natural wear of the vertebrae, and an inadequate mattress, what we get is that stabbing pain or morning rigidity that keeps us from starting the day with energy. Now then, understanding why it happens is only the first step. Because although aging is inevitable, pain doesn't have to be. What comes next is what truly changed my life. A simple, homemade, and above all, effective solution. And no, I'm not talking about another pill, nor a costly product. I'm talking about a habit change so simple that at first it even made me laugh. but that was precisely what gave me back the desire to get up every morning. Would you like to know what it is? I'll tell you now, in the next part. Before finding what really worked, I went through almost everything you can imagine. And if you, who are listening to me, have also spent years dealing with back pain, many of these things will surely sound familiar. I started, like almost everyone, with the quick path: ibuprofen. I took it every morning with coffee, sometimes in the afternoon too. For a while it seemed to work, but it was only an illusion. The pain didn't go away. I was just covering it up for a few hours, and every day I needed a little more. When I realized my stomach no longer tolerated the pills well, I decided to look for other options. I tried mentholated creams. Some were so strong they burned my skin. Others seemed to be made of water. I applied them faithfully, massaged firmly, but the effect lasted only a few minutes. After a few days, I was back where I started. A stiff back, clumsy movement, constant annoyance. Then came the stretches. I bought a mat, watched videos, jotted down phrases like breathe and lengthen the spine. But nothing. When I tried to bend forward, I felt sharp twinges. If I twisted at the waist, everything cracked. And the worst part, I got frustrated. I felt clumsy, weak, slow. I started to think the problem was me, that I had no remedy. I also tried an orthopedic pillow. It cost me a lot, but it had a good reputation. The first night I didn't sleep well. The second, my neck hurt. The third, I stored it in the closet. I promised myself I'd give it another chance later, but I never took it out again. And I won't lie, between medications, creams, supplements, physical therapists, and special items, I spent more money than I like to admit. All in the name of relief, all with the hope of waking up without that fear of pain that reminded me every morning that time kept passing through my body. The worst part wasn't the expense. The worst part was the disappointment. Because with every failed attempt, I felt the problem was more inside me. That maybe it was something that couldn't be changed anymore. That perhaps I had to learn to live like that. A silent sense of helplessness washed over me. A strange sadness, a resignation that settled in without asking permission. But one day, as I applied for the umpteenth time a scentless, effectless cream, I stopped. I looked at myself in the mirror, and softly I said to myself, I'm attacking the pain, but I'm doing nothing to understand the cause. That's when I began to ask myself different questions. Why did it hurt right when I woke up? What was I doing or failing to do that allowed that pain to come back every day like clockwork? And above all, was there a way to care for my body without always depending on something external? That search led me to discover a technique that is now part of my routine. It wasn't a doctor who taught it to me. I didn't see it on television either. It was a simple recommendation that reached me at just the right moment. And although at first I doubted, because it seemed too simple to be real, it was the only thing that gave me stable results. No side effects, no excessive spending, without giving up my dignity or my autonomy. What made the difference? The right oil. Everything changed the day I went to visit my neighbor, Mrs. Carmen. She is over 80 years old, and despite her age, she always looks upright, light, as if time didn't weigh on her. That day, while we were having tea, she saw me move with difficulty as I sat down. She asked if my back hurt. I said yes, that every morning was the same or worse than the one before. Then she stood up, went to her bathroom, and came back with a small bottle in her hands. Use this. It's rosemary oil. I can't live without it. At first I thought it was another one of those home remedies everyone recommends, but no one knows if they really work. But she spoke with such conviction, and she looked so sure, that I decided to try it. I applied it the next morning as soon as I got up, just as she told me. A little in the palm of my hand, rub to activate heat, and then gently massage the lower back for 2 minutes. The first time I didn't feel much. Just an intense, warm aroma, as if my body were breathing. But something inside me told me I should persist, and I did. Day after day, for 2 minutes, without fail. What I didn't know then was that rosemary oil doesn't just smell good. It has truly powerful properties. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, helps relax muscles, and improves blood circulation. When applied with heat and friction, it penetrates the skin and reaches the deep tissue, right where many discomforts often begin. Over time, I discovered there are other options just as useful. Arnica oil, for example, is ideal for reducing inflammation and relieving muscle knots. It's widely used by people who practice sports, but it also works wonderfully for older folks with chronic pain. And mint oil has a cooling effect that gently numbs the area, reducing the sensation of pain without irritating it. These oils, unlike commercial creams that evaporate in minutes or leave a sticky film, nourish the skin and are deeply absorbed. In addition, they don't contain harsh chemicals or artificial fragrances. They're simple, natural, and effective. I also discovered that many of these oils come pure or blended. There are mixes that include lavender, eucalyptus, or even ginger, and each one has a specific function: relax, warm, stimulate, or deflate. Over time, you find which one suits your body best. But beyond the oil itself, what truly made the difference was consistency. That small gesture of applying the oil every morning became a ritual, a moment of self-care, of connection with my body, of starting the day without resignation. I no longer got up thinking about the pain. I got up thinking about relieving it. And little by little, I began to notice the change. It wasn't immediate, but it was real. My body began to loosen, the muscles relaxed, and my mood improved as well. It wasn't so hard to move anymore. The pain didn't disappear completely, but it lost strength. And that, believe me, is immense relief when you've spent years feeling like a prisoner of your own back. The best part is that you don't need a prescription, or large sums of money, or to wait months. Just the right oil, a couple of minutes every morning, and the decision to care for yourself. How to use it. My 2-minute routine. Now that you know the oil that made the difference, I want to share exactly how I use it every morning. Because if there's one thing I learned, it's that it's not enough to have the remedy. You have to know how to use it well. My routine lasts only 2 minutes. No more, no less. But they are sacred 2 minutes. 2 minutes that changed my mornings. I'll explain step by step how I do it, so you can start tomorrow morning. First, I prepare everything the night before. I leave the bottle of oil on the nightstand or next to the bathroom mirror, where I know I'll see it as soon as I get up. I don't like starting the day looking for things or trying to remember where I left them. The key is to have everything at hand, so the habit sticks. As soon as I wake up, I sit on the edge of the bed. I don't stand up abruptly. I plant my feet firmly on the floor, take a couple of deep breaths, and then grab the bottle of oil. I use a small amount, about the size of a coin, in the palm of my hand. You don't need more. Sometimes I warm my hands slightly before applying, rubbing them together for a few seconds. That helps activate the body's natural heat. I apply the oil to my lower back, right above the waist in the lumbar region, which is where tension builds up the most overnight. If I also feel stiffness in the middle or upper part, I move a bit higher. But I always start at the base. The movement is very important. It's not about rubbing hard or rushing. Quite the opposite. With the whole palm, I make circular, slow, steady motions. Not with the fingers, but with the open hand, as if I were caressing. This helps distribute the oil, stimulate circulation, and relax muscles that are still cold from sleep. While I massage, I breathe deeply. I inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, slowly. Breathing accompanies the massage. And although it may seem minor, it isn't. Breathing calms the nervous system, oxygenates the tissues, and connects you to the moment. You stop thinking about what hurts, and you start feeling what is easing. And here comes a key detail. I do it for only 2 minutes. It may seem like little time, but it's just right. Less doesn't fully activate the effect. More can irritate the skin or tire the area if it's already sensitive. 2 minutes done well, every day, are worth more than 10 minutes once a week. I set a gentle alarm or count mentally. Sometimes I simply do it while listening to a slow song. When it ends, I stay seated for a few seconds, letting the oil work. And only then do I get up slowly, with my body a little looser, a little freer. There's something important to say. This ritual should not be done in a rush, nor with force. You don't have to rub until it hurts or try to break the knot. On the contrary, the body should feel cared for, not punished. If one day you're more sensitive, lower the intensity. If the pain is stronger, apply heat before or after, but never force it. Relief doesn't come with pressure, it comes with consistency. Personally, this moment of the day became almost an act of kindness toward myself. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that thanks to this, not only did my back improve, my way of treating myself improved too. Now that you know how to do it, I invite you to try it. Maybe at first you won't feel anything. Maybe you will. But if you keep it up for 1 week, you'll notice the difference. And that's only the beginning. What I felt the first time I tried it. At the beginning, I won't lie, I doubted. It seemed too simple. Just an oil, 2 minutes, and that's it. After years of trying creams, belts, pills, doctors, and exercises, how was something so basic going to work? But I was tired. Tired of the pain, of treatments that didn't deliver results, of getting up every morning with a back as stiff as a board and a mind full of resignation. So I decided to try, without many expectations, but with the will to give it at least 1 week. The first day, I didn't feel anything. Only the warm scent of the oil, the gentle massage on the lumbar area, and a slight feeling of heat that faded after a while. I told myself, well, at least it's pleasant. But the pain was still there, as always. The second day was similar. Maybe I felt a bit looser getting up, but I couldn't say whether it was real or just the illusion that hope gives. I didn't give it much importance. But on the third day, something changed. It was subtle. I woke up with less stiffness. I could twist my body to get out of bed without frowning. I stood up more fluidly. I didn't hear that crack in my lower back that had already become part of the morning ritual. And most curiously, I didn't have to sit on the edge of the bed for a while before I started moving. I got up almost immediately. That day I felt different. Not as if I had become 20 years younger, no, but something had loosened inside me, as if my body had started to trust itself again. The most striking part wasn't just the physical, but what happened inside. That small change filled me with encouragement. It brought back the feeling that I could still improve, that not everything was lost, that pain wasn't an inevitable punishment for having grown older. Throughout the day, I noticed I had more energy. I walked a little more. I dared to bend down to water the plants, something I had avoided for fear of getting stuck. And best of all, I didn't think about the pain all morning. For the first time in a long time, it wasn't the center of my attention. I felt free. That night, I went to bed with a slight smile. Not for having found a miraculous cure, but because something had finally worked. And it wasn't a pill, nor an operation, nor an expensive product. It was a simple decision, to give myself 2 minutes every morning. Just that. From then on, I knew clearly. This wasn't magic. It was consistency. It wasn't about finding the hidden secret of eternal relief, but about creating a small, sustained habit that respects my body. The following days confirmed what I had felt. Some mornings were better than others, of course, but in general, I felt looser, more confident. The pain, although still there on certain occasions, no longer had the same power over me. And that, for someone who had lived trapped in his back for years, was like getting a piece of life back. So if you're thinking of trying this routine, I'll tell you with complete honesty, don't expect an instant miracle. Expect a true change. One that is born from commitment to yourself, from respect for your time and your body. Why this habit helps more than any pill. For years, like so many others, I entrusted my well-being to pills. Ibuprofen, acetaminophen, anti-inflammatories of all kinds. Some prescribed, others recommended by neighbors, others simply pulled from the medicine cabinet out of habit. And I won't deny that sometimes they worked. They calmed the pain for a few hours. But the problem always came back. What I never stopped to think back then was why it always returned. The truth is, that medications are like turning off an alarm without checking what set it off. They silence the symptom, but they don't solve it. And in the long run, the body gets used to them. It needs higher doses, more often, and side effects begin to appear. Stomach issues, altered blood pressure, fluid retention, interrupted sleep. All in an attempt to cover up a pain that was actually asking for attention, not silence. That's the big difference with this small habit I adopted. It doesn't cover the pain, it listens to it, and it treats it at its root. When we apply a natural oil, such as rosemary, arnica, or mint, directly to the affected area, we're not numbing the body. We're activating circulation, relaxing the muscles, and reducing local inflammation. It's a direct treatment, without going through the stomach or altering the nervous system. Massage, moreover, not only helps the oil penetrate better, but it also stimulates blood flow, which brings more oxygen to the tissues, and that, over time, improves muscular and joint health. Unlike pills, which offer fleeting relief, oil combined with daily touch has an accumulative effect. It teaches the body to heal from the inside. But there's something else. Something pills can never offer you. Connection with yourself. Those couple of minutes when I sit every morning, warm my hands, breathe, and massage my back, are a space of full attention. A moment in which I take care of myself, listen to myself, observe myself. It's not just a physical routine, it's an act of presence, and that, with age, is worth gold. Because many times, especially after 60, we stop touching ourselves with intention. We stop speaking to ourselves kindly. We simply survive the day. And this habit brought back that sense of care, of being in my body, without suffering. And I am not the only one. Since I started telling others my age about this, I've received messages that warm my heart. Mrs. Teresa, a 76-year-old lady, told me she now gets up with less fear because she no longer feels that pull in her back that forced her to sit for 10 minutes before walking. Mr. George, who spent years on painkillers, began using arnica oil every morning and told me he can now tend to his garden again without having to stop every 5 minutes to rest. Even my brother-in-law, who was always skeptical, ended up admitting that since he applies mint oil at night to the cervical area, he sleeps better and wakes up less tense. What they all have in common isn't just relief, it's autonomy. The joy of having found something they can do for themselves, without depending on prescriptions, without spending a fortune, without filling the body with chemicals. Just consistency, attention, and a little faith in the simple. So, if you're looking for a way to ease that pain that greets you every morning, don't underestimate what you can achieve with your own hands and the right oil. It isn't magic, it isn't immediate, but if you do it every day, it's possible that within 1 week or within 1 month, you'll wake up and think, today it doesn't hurt as much. Today I start the day with eagerness, and that, believe me, is worth far more than any pill. How I chose the best oil for me, and you can too. After trying the routine with oil, I felt so relieved that I decided to go further. I wanted to understand what made each type of oil special and how I could choose the most suitable one for me. Because it's one thing for something to work, and another to know why it works, and how to adapt it to your body. And here's where I discovered a fascinating world. The first thing I noticed is that not all oils are the same. Although many are sold as oils for pain, each one has different properties, distinct sensations, and particular effects on the body. Some are milder, others more intense. Some warm, others cool. And not all agree with everyone. I started with rosemary oil because that's what my neighbor recommended. Rosemary has a deep, slightly woody fragrance, and it creates a very subtle warmth. It's ideal for activating circulation, reducing inflammation, and relaxing muscles. But there are other options I also discovered over time. Lavender oil has a more calming effect, both physically and emotionally. If you suffer tension from stress or trouble sleeping, it may be the best choice. It's gentle on the skin, and the aroma is comforting. Eucalyptus is more intense. It has analgesic and decongestant action. If you like an immediate feeling of freshness and have deep knots or rigidity, this can help a lot. Arnica is excellent for bruises, inflammation, and overworked muscles. It's stronger, so it's wise to try it in small amounts at first. Mint oil refreshes and lightly numbs the area, which is useful if the pain is sharp or acute. But for very sensitive people, it can feel a bit cold. Each oil has its own personality, and that's why the most important thing is to observe how your body reacts. My skin is a bit dry, so I looked for oils that, in addition to easing discomfort, nourished the skin without irritating it. If you have sensitive skin, it's best to start with a gentle oil like lavender, or dilute a few drops of essential oil in a bit of carrier oil, like almond or coconut, to avoid reactions. Before using any oil, I did a very simple test you can do at home too. Apply 1 drop of the oil to the back of your wrist. Leave it there for about 20 minutes. Watch for redness, itching, or discomfort. If the skin looks normal and you don't feel irritation, you can use it safely. If there's any reaction, it's better to try another oil or consult a professional. I also discovered that climate and time of day matter. For example, in winter, I prefer rosemary oil because it warms. In summer, I use lavender or mint, which are cooler. And if I'm very tired, lavender helps relax not only my back, but my mind as well. Another important point: oil quality. Not all oils on the market are pure. Some come diluted or mixed with artificial fragrances that only serve for scent, but don't have therapeutic effects. Make sure the oil says essential, that it comes in a dark glass bottle, and that it doesn't have odd additives on the label. And if you're overwhelmed by the number of options, don't worry. My advice is simple. Start with the gentlest one. Observe, listen to your body, and from there, adjust. Because it isn't about using what everyone else uses. It's about finding what works for you, what suits your skin, your system, and your routine. And that discovery doesn't require haste or perfection, only attention. I went on testing, comparing, changing, and over time I found a combination that works wonderfully for me. For you, it may be different, and that's fine. What matters is knowing that you have options, that you aren't forced to keep suffering, nor to depend on solutions you don't understand. Sometimes the answer lies in something as simple as a bottle of oil and your own hands. How to set up your space for the morning routine. If there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's that it's not only what you do that matters, but how and where you do it. And when it comes to easing pain, the environment also heals. That's why, if you want this 2-minute habit to last over time and give you real results, the best thing you can do is prepare your own space for it. A quiet, private corner where you can start the day calmly, without rush, without distractions. You don't need a special room, nor to spend money. It's enough to choose a place in your home that brings you peace. It could be a corner of your bedroom by the window. It could be a sturdy chair in the dining room, or even next to your bed, if that's where you feel most comfortable. The important thing is that this corner be dedicated to you, that it holds everything you need to begin your routine without thinking too much. Because the simpler you make it, the easier it will be to repeat, and what you repeat transforms you. I, for example, set up a small space by my bedroom window. It's nothing fancy. A sturdy chair with a backrest, a small towel folded over the back, and a wooden box where I keep the oil, a comb, and a handkerchief. That's all. Every night before going to bed, I leave the oil bottle and towel ready. So when I get up, I don't have to look for anything. Everything is there, waiting for me. That simple gesture spares me excuses, forgetfulness, and distractions. Consistency isn't born from willpower, it's born from preparation. When the space is ready, the mind accepts it as part of the routine. Your body understands it as a message. This moment is for me. It's also important that the place be comfortable and stable. Avoid soft or very low chairs. Make sure your feet touch the floor firmly and your back has support. If it's cold in the morning, keep a shawl or blanket nearby so your body doesn't tense up. Another detail that helps a lot is natural light. If you can, place your corner near a window. Morning light is not only good for your mood, it also helps your body sync its internal clock and wake up with more energy. As for the ideal time, it's best to do it as soon as you get up, not after breakfast, nor after doing other things. Right upon waking, when the body is still cold and needs help to get moving. If you do it later, you might miss the moment, or the pain may have worsened due to bad postures or accumulated tension. But it's not only about physical space. The emotional climate matters too. When you start your routine, try to be present. Don't think about what you have to do afterward, nor about what you didn't do yesterday. Breathe deeply. Be grateful for the moment. Be grateful that you are taking care of yourself, because that in itself is already healing. Sometimes I play soft music in the background, or I simply listen to the sounds of the morning, birds, trees, silence. And I gift myself those 2 minutes as if they were the most important of the day, because in a way, they are. Creating a corner of well-being in your home isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's having a place where you can start the day with yourself, from calm, from care, from hope. And when you do that every day, not only does your back change, your way of being in the world changes as well. Today I can tell you something with complete sincerity. I'm not cured, but I am no longer a slave to pain. The difference between how I lived before and how I live now isn't a miracle, nor a secret recipe. It lies in a small, constant gesture I repeat every morning. Just that. And over time, that small gesture has transformed my relationship with my body, with my mornings, and with my mood. For years, I thought pain was something I had to accept, that it was part of growing old, that I would have to endure it in silence, as if it were an inevitable punishment. But it isn't so. Not all pain is permanent. Not all discomfort is forever. And sometimes what helps most isn't the most complex, but the simplest. Today, I only need 2 minutes every morning. A little natural oil, my hands, a quiet place, and the decision to care for myself. I don't always wake up eager. Some days are harder than others, but even on grey days, I know there's something I can do for myself, and that changes everything. If you're watching this video and you still haven't found relief, if you wake up with a stiff back, with a tired body, with the feeling that you can't take it anymore, I want you to know you're not alone, and that yes, you can still do something. Start tomorrow. Just 2 minutes, just you and your body. You have nothing to lose. And maybe, as happened to me, you have a lot to gain. Will you dare to try it tomorrow? Tell me in the comments how old you are and where you're watching me from. I'd love to know whether this technique can help you too, as it helped me. And if you know someone who struggles with pain every morning, share this. Sometimes a routine this simple can change an entire life. Thank you for staying until the end.
I wish you a strong back, lighter mornings,
and above all, a life where pain no longer rules.